About a month ago, I asked you guys which one of my older coasters I should revisit. After giving some time for the post to marinate, it seems that the RMC Hybrid won with an overwhelming majority. While I take down the beast, let me explain to you what I plan on doing for this video. Around a year ago, I built my first version of an RMC Hybrid. I remember having a lot of fun with this project, but after a year of building model roller coasters since that video came out, my skills have improved quite a lot more. So I really want to try building this coaster type again, but with a much more ambitious layout in mind. After clearing out the beast, I went right into work building the lift hill. For this roller coaster, I want to do the signature RMC truss lift. This way of building the lift is a little more complicated because the track is not directly connected to the lift structure, and building a truss lift with CDX blocks is overall just weaker than building a normal lift like what I did on my beast model. After comparing the truss to a stack of support pieces, I can approximate that the lift will be about 15 support pieces tall. In comparison to my other coasters, this would put this project taller than my previous hybrid coaster, but still shorter than my Intamin Giga, which is so far the tallest roller coaster I've built on my channel. Hopefully this is a good height for the lift, since it needs to deliver quite a lot of speed for the layout I have in mind. Before I put the truss together, I want to make the angle of the lift a little more shallow because I think this is too steep for the trains to handle. One of my biggest gripes with my old model of the hybrid coaster is that the truss lift hill I built for that coaster is a little stubby, and that's something I really want to fix for this newer model. So here's the entire lift put together. I decided to go with that red color scheme again because I thought it looked really good on my old model. Besides that, I think that the shaping of this lift is pretty much perfect. To finish this lift, I'll need to put on the tracks, the upper gear for the chain, and that middle support that you see on hybrid coasters like Gwazi. I put some base plates on the bottom of the truss, and the lift is all connected together, so let's finally bring the lift up from the ground. It seems like the top of the lift is slacking a little bit, so I definitely need to get in that middle support truss, or the lift structure will probably not be very strong. After my trip to Busch Gardens Tampa over the summer, I've been having an itch to build another RMC hybrid ever since. The layout I have in mind for this roller coaster is going to look a lot like Gwazi. It's basically going to have all of Gwazi's elements, just in a different order. And I'm really wanting to lean into the realism on this roller coaster, so I plan on adding those slanted supports that you see coming off of wooden coasters. Like here, for the support truss, I added these little slanted bits to make it look like the upper white supports are supported even more by the base. This is so far the plan for the layout. You can definitely see some of the Gwazi inspired elements, like how the train goes into a large overbank right after the first drop. After connecting all the footers together, all I need to do now to finish the lift is to put on the track and put on the actual chain itself. Using these weird snot bricks, I managed to make a connection for the cross ties to connect to the actual lift structure. Right here, I start working on a little bit of a pre-lift section. This is one of those things that was missing from my old model, and which is pretty much a staple on all RMCs. So I really want to make sure I nail it this time. This section also lets me place down the station, and eventually the brake run. The pre-lift is really simple. It's really just 2 bunny hops, so something like the pre-lift on Steel Vengeance. Eventually, I put on the tracks for everything that I've built so far, put on the cross ties, and then put on the chain. So let's do a quick test run of the pre-lift and the lift itself. With the lift completely working, I start making the pullout from the first drop. And now the lift and the first drop is complete. So let's start working on the actual layout itself. I like to plan out each element by putting up support pieces that aren't connected yet, and then when I get the element shaping right, then I would connect everything together. For this first element, I deviate a little bit from the original plan, and I build a step up into the overbank. I'm not sure exactly how far the train can make it yet, so I'm gonna have to wait till I test the train again to see if I have to lower the element or not. Here I put together the step up, as well as finishing the overbank. I noticed that there's this little dip in the first drop due to this weird connection point with the two spools of track, and I think that dip was taking away some of the train's speed, which is why I thought the train speed could make the taller version of the Overbank. Next, I work on a speed hill, which goes over the first drop, as well as starting to plan the next few elements. After the overbank, it goes into that little speed hill, and then it goes up into yet another overbank turn, just much tighter this time, then goes back under the lift and into a downwards barrel roll. So I started working on that speed hill. It ended up being a little under supported, so I came back to it later and reinforced that floating section of track that went over the first drop. Let's do another quick test. I'm already really loving this roller coaster. It looks so cool. Next, I started working on that tight overbank turn, which was much more complicated than I thought because the track ended in this weird position and the connection point was just too tight for the trains. Shaping wise, I thought this element came out really well, and it's really satisfying watching the trains run through it. Let's do another test to make sure the train can make this element. With the overbank complete, I'm going to work on the climb into the downwards barrel roll. Inversions like these are much more difficult to build because they require heartlining to make them look good. Here's where that connection point comes up again. You can hear a lot of clanking from the train running through this weird dip. Because of how the track is supposed to be connected, it really slows down the train, and there's not really a lot of good fixes to this, so I just have to lower the next element. And this turns out not to be the end of the track problems. There'll be a major one popping up later. With it fixed again, I started working on the downwards barrel roll, which is the first inversion of the roller coaster. To keep my roller coasters realistic, I like to make inversions like this heartlined. For people who don't know what heartlining is, it looks a little bit like this. Heartlining is where the track twists around the rider, instead of twisting around itself. I made some little models to demonstrate this. This would be an example of a non-heartline roll, aka an inline twist. You can see that the point where it rotates is under the rider. This model is more like a heartline roll. The point where it rotates is on the rider's chest, which makes the ride experience much more comfortable for the riders. My goal for this element is to twist the track in a way so that the rotation point is the center of where the riders would be on the train. This is a huge upgrade from what I did on my old model RMC. On the old roller coaster, I built an upward barrel roll, or whatever it's called. I wouldn't say that the inversion was very well heartlined, and it had really weird and janky transitions in and out of the inversion. I'm going to make sure I don't make that same mistake again by making it so that the track doesn't bank all the way down the drop, and so that there's a little room where the track can level out. Building a wooden style of supports for an inversion is pretty tricky. The way I got around this is by building the supports upside down and connecting it to the main network of supports with Technic pieces. I feel like the heartlining is looking good. I'm going to get rid of any blocks that are too close to the track so that there's enough clearance for the next test, as well as smoothing up the track a little more. I really love how the inversion came out, so let's move into the second inversion, which is going to be a stall. I want to give this stall its own unique truss structure, just like the lift. I really like the stall I made on my old RMC, and I want to incorporate another one on my new model. Building stalls are much easier than making barrel rolls, as I just need to flip the track so that it can connect upside down, and then twist the track back in a way that seems smooth. Let's test out the coaster again with the stall. I was expecting the train to go a little faster through the stall. The train has been really slowing down since the downwards barrel roll drop. So hopefully the train can make this next element, which is going to be a wave turn. I built one of these on my old model, but it was not very realistic to what wave turns actually look like. So this is a great second go at making this element again. It's also incorporated right into the overbank structure, so I didn't really have to build any more supports for this. So after doing some track work, that is pretty much the entire wave turn complete. I just need to build the transition out of the wave turn, and building a few bunny hops into the brakes down there. I'm going to make the first bunny hop only 2 support pieces tall, because I'm really worried about the speed, and I'm not really sure if the train can actually make the hill. There was also another weird connection point with the track. It was in a terrible spot where the wave turn transitions into this hill, and I'm worried that that's going to hurt a lot of the train's speed. So let's see what happens on this test run. I lowered the hill a little more and ran another test. Here I was in a little bit of a dilemma. I knew for sure that the train will not be able to make it back to the brake run. The brake run is almost the same height as this hill, and the train didn't even make the bunny hop. So I'm going to have to do something a little drastic. I'm pretty much forced to take off all the track, and I'm also going to try to replace some elements so that the speed of the train is utilized more efficiently. Let me show you that connection point with the track problem I keep running into. So here is where that pin goes into each section of track, and you can see that it makes this little divot. So I'm going to need to change that in the retracking. I'm also going to take out elements that really eat up the train's speed, like this step-up element, as well as this speed hill. So that this doesn't get repetitive for you guys, I'm just going to do one big transition. So I'll see you soon, hopefully. Hi guys, it's been a pretty big jump since the last time I filmed. I've been very demotivated to retract the whole thing, but I finally got it done. And with the retract, there are some new elements that I would like to show off. So I replaced this step up with a step down coming right after the overbank. In order to fit the stall back into the layout, I had to move this whole section with the overbank and the downwards barrel roll. I as well had to increase the supports on these, so they're a little shakier now. I also increased the height of the stall, so there hopefully should be more speed going into that wave turn. After 2 weeks of building, the train finally made it over this bunny hop, so I can work on the remaining section of the ride. I plan on building some winding bunny hops all the way back to the brake run. This section is sorta inspired by Steel Vengeance, where during the finale of the ride, the train does a bunch of bunny hops through the wooden supports of the coaster. After building another bunny hop and the other half of the brake run, we can now do a test of the full layout. Now that all the track work is installed, I want to add some final details to make the roller coaster look more realistic. I want to start by adding some slanted supports that you often see on wooden coasters. They won't really add that much integrity to the ride, but I love adding these to my models because they look just so good. I put these additional supports on both of the overbanks. So let's put everything together. I also put in a brake pad on the brake run, so now it's sort of functional. I took this cardboard piece straight from my model of the Beast, which was originally a trim brake. I added an actual functional support because I noticed that this step down is a little too shaky, but by beefing up the supports, the element isn't going anywhere. Finally, I designed and 3D printed some custom RMC cars, and I plan on painting them to make the trains look really cool. I'm going to go for a yellow to purple gradient for the cars, and then when all the paint dried, I'm going to paint the seats black. Here's the first layer of paint. I'm going to leave some white showing because RMC trains usually aren't one entire color, and sometimes even show the steel frames of the car. After painting the seats on, I put the train back together again. This marks the completion of the entire coaster. So here are some final test runs of the video. Don't worry, I plan on making another video that will focus primarily on the coaster running, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, enjoy these final test runs. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing. I also recommend watching my old RMC project if you have not already, which I linked in the description. Otherwise, goodbye.